Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Standley with Standley Handcrafted, and today I wanted to talk about a question that comes up quite a bit in the comment section down below and of course on the Facebook group, and that is when you're heating the tops of your candles, can you use a regular blow dryer or do you need a heat gun? Now of course this question comes up all the time because as anybody knows, and if you're just getting into candles, this is of course a question you're going to be asking yourself very quickly, because the second you make a candle with a certain type of wax, you're going to realize that the top is uneven, or you get sinkholes, you get little dips in there. The top looks like it's kind of cratered like the moon. Now this one, I have an example right here. This candle's already been burned, but it's going to do the exact same thing, kind of illustrating what I'm talking about. When you use certain wax, I did a video with 6006 a couple days ago that shows sinkholes and how you get those, and that's exactly what we're talking about. So when you get done making candles, you've got little dips, craters, and holes depending on the wax that you use that you're going to have to fix by heating up the top and melting the wax back in there so that you get a nice smooth top when you're done. Now this one, if you can see that, it's very bright, but you can see the top in that one is really cratered. Now obviously this one's been burned, so after it burns, it really doesn't matter what it looks like because people are just going to keep burning that one. But what you want to do when that candle was just poured and you do have a top like this, is you want to run something hot over the top of that so that it melts the wax down and smooths out and heats the top. And of course a lot of people when they first start out, they don't have a heat gun. It's just not one of those things that you think about. But it is one of those things that you definitely need as a candle maker. Which of course brings the question, can you use a hairdryer? Because most people have a hairdryer in their house, and the simple answer is yes, of course you can. I used a hairdryer for probably the first, I don't know, several months to maybe even a year when I was making candles, just because I didn't know any better and I didn't want to run out and get a heat gun for some reason, and they're like $20, so it's an easy investment. If you don't have a heat gun, I would absolutely tell you to get one. It's going to save you so much time, and that's what I want to highlight and kind of illustrate in this video, the differences between using a hairdryer and a heat gun. Now, like I said, when you're first starting out, you can absolutely use a hairdryer. They definitely get hot enough to melt the surface of the wax, and of course, applying heat long enough, you're eventually going to heat the wax enough to fill in the sinkholes and make a smooth top. The problems that you're going to run into with the hairdryer is you can't really control the temperature of the heat that comes out of the hairdryer. It comes out either cold or hot. I don't know, there could be some hairdryers out there that you can get a few more settings in there, but for the ones that I used, it's either cold or hot. So you're basically going to be using the hot setting on a hairdryer. One of the other problems that you're going to have using a hairdryer, now of course, like I said, it does get hot enough to where it melts the top of the wax and it will smooth out the holes, but what you're going to run into is a hairdryer doesn't get hot enough to do it quickly. So you're going to be standing over each candle, blow drying that and smoothing out the top for probably several minutes. I know depending on how big the sinkhole is, you could be there for a while. And if you're smoothing out the tops on 20 or 30 or even 40 candles, it's going to take you forever to use a hairdryer to do that. The other problem that you're going to run into with the hairdryer is it blows so fast that you really have to be careful that you don't just blow the wax right out of the container. If you get it too close, it's blowing so fast that you can literally just push the wax all the way up the side of the glass and over the sides of it. Whereas with the heat gun, you can eliminate all that. The heat gun is going to give you much better control over the temperature. It's going to give you much better control of the speed of the fan that's going inside there, which basically blows the hot air out. And of course, it heats up a lot hotter than a hairdryer. So you can take what would take you 3 or 4 minutes per candle down to 30 or 40 seconds with a heat gun. And of course, I'm going to cut over and show a video of kind of the differences between a heat gun. I've got a candle downstairs that I'm going to heat up with a heat gun and a hairdryer just to show you kind of what it can do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut over and we'll show you that. All right, so you can see the differences between the heat gun and the hairdryer. Obviously, both of them work, and if you're real careful, you can absolutely make a hairdryer work. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I used a hairdryer for months, if not closer to a year, before I actually upgraded and finally bought a heat gun. It's definitely an investment that's worth your money, and the heat gun is also an investment that you will not regret for your candle business. It's something that's going to help you out in the long run. It would absolutely be something that's going to help you work quicker, more efficient. Not to mention, if you wanted to heat the outside of the glass as opposed to the inside of the glass, you can use a heat gun to get rid of a lot of glass adhesion or wet spot problems. Not that they won't come back depending on the temperatures outside, but a lot of people will take the heat gun, heat up the outside of the candle on a clear jar, of course, and then kind of smooth out and melt down some of the wax so that you get rid of wet spots that are in the side of the candles. And a lot of people will actually heat the outside of the candle to melt that wax instead of putting it as direct heat on that. Now, of course, one of the things that you do want to be careful of with the heat gun is actually leaving the tip of the gun over the wax for too long. It does take quite a while, but leaving the heat gun over the wax and heating it up for too long, you are burning off some of that fragrance oil. But it's not a ton. You're not going to do it within 30, 40, even 60 seconds. So don't worry about putting the heat gun over the wax for too long. You're not going to burn off that much of the oil to where your candle's going to have no cold throw. I've shown this in a previous video, but it would take you several minutes on top of that candle to really get rid of a lot of fragrance or scent throw from that. So definitely not something that you need to be too concerned with, but something that you should just keep in the back of your mind when you're running the heat gun over that. Once it's flat, once you've heated up enough and melted the wax down in there and the top is smooth, go ahead and remove it and move on to the next candle. So I hope that answers the question a lot of people had. Like I said, that's a question that comes up in the group all the time, and it's one that comes up in the comment section below the videos all the time as well. So I wanted to get out there and answer that one again, especially for the new people that are just now coming to the channel. And of course, if you are new to the channel, I've got links to all the stuff I talk about in the video description down below, along with links to all the social media platforms that you can follow me on. Of course, YouTube. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit like. And of course, if you haven't already, hit subscribe and hit like for the video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything like that, all the links are down below. And I also have my website listed in the video description, StanleyHandcrafted.com, if you want to take a look at any of the candles that I make, along with the ebooks, and of course other products like the melting picture stickers that I sell on my website. And as always, if I glossed over anything in this, or if you'd like more explanation on any of the stuff that I did with the heat gun or the blow dryer, please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I try to go through those, answer those, and of course incorporate those questions into another video in the future. And of course, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.